So one of the world's biggest mob bosses, or even cartel bosses, if you really want to go that far, was just arrested in Dubai and extradited back to Ireland to face justice for what was apparently one of the biggest and most far-reaching criminal enterprises in the world since Pablo Escobar. This story is crazy. This is going to be the story of Daniel Kinahan and the Kinahan cartel. Now, before we get into it, I want to warn you guys, okay, this video is going to have some themes of gang violence, death, gang activity, crime. So if you're not comfortable with any of those kind of themes, you might want to switch up the video. And I'm only telling you guys this for journalistic, artistic, documentary, and scientific purposes, okay? I'm only letting you guys know this stuff because this is a story in the public interest. I want to warn the public of what's really going on in these streets internationally with these crime families. So just giving you a fair warning, but without further ado, this is kind of a Channel 4 News breakdown on Daniel Kinahan being extradited back to Ireland to face these charges. And what's crazy is that this guy was seemingly untouchable for decades, okay? Listen to this.
This was the moment in 2016 that unleashed a gang war in Dublin. A boxing competition turned deadly. Its organiser, alleged global mob boss Daniel Kinahan, was thought to be the intended target. A wave of murders would follow, and he would flee Ireland, not to return until tonight, when in an unprecedented security operation, he's extradited from Dubai on the Irish government jet to face judges, but not a jury. Speaking ahead of his flight back, according to podcaster James English, Kinahan reflected on how he got here.
I was always proud to be Irish and I wanted to, do good things and big things. Obviously life didn't go that way for me. All the stuff and all the media, what people think of me, and the perception they have of me.
An anonymous and high-production YouTube film retells the 2016 shooting and paints Daniel Kinahan, played by a dashing actor, as the victim of a conspiracy between the Irish state and a rival gang.
What's going on? Where are the police?
The details of his transfer from plane to court to prison tonight are indeed film-worthy. His especially commissioned blast-proof prison van complete with decoys, with police snipers positioned on the court's roof. A far cry from his life at large and in luxury in Dubai over the past decade. It was there that America's drug enforcement agencies say he headed an international super cartel responsible for a third of Europe's cocaine market. US courts may want their chance to question him too, after launching a $5 million reward for information leading to his arrest in 2022.
The Kinahan transnational criminal organization has been accused of a wide range of heinous crimes all around the world, including murder and trafficking in firearms and narcotics. So today, the United States Department of State is pleased to announce a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the financial disruption of the KTCO or the arrest and convictions of its leaders.
Of particular interest, the Kinahan cartel's allegedly increasing international links to the Iranian regime, its proxies including Hezbollah, and shadow fleets transporting oil around the world under the radar.
So they was locked in doing business with the Iranians, all right? They really that mobbed up that they were literally helping the Iranians get weapons so that they could potentially fight against the United States. Now, it is absolute insanity that this even happened. So let me give you a little bit more backstory on the Kinahan cartel and kind of how this all came to be. So there's a really great YouTube channel called Search Party, and they did a really good job kind of explaining the backstory about how Christy Kinahan originally built the organization by actually connecting basically Colombian cocaine producers with the European market. And as you heard in that, they basically had a third of Europeans' blow market sewn up. Look at this.
It all started with Christy Kinahan. He grew up middle class in Ireland. By his 20s, he was driving a taxi and racking up a criminal record. He was arrested for possessing heroin, for selling weapons, and for forging checks. Police considered him an ordinary criminal. But
he's not your ordinary criminal.
John Mooney's been investigating the Kinahans for over a decade.
He's a highly intelligent individual. He speaks several languages, very good at making people trust him. And he was also someone that was willing to take risks and network.
Around 2001, Christie was one of the earliest to sense an opportunity in Colombia, where cartels produce most of the world's cocaine. Powerful Mexican cartels were taking over their supply routes to the US, leaving the Colombians in search of new customers. At the time, Europeans didn't use much cocaine. But with the Cold War over, they were making more money, maybe enough to give it a try. As the Colombians looked for a way into Europe, Christy Kinahan stepped in. He started buying cocaine from the Colombians, shipping it across the Atlantic, marking up the price, then selling it to gangs to distribute. Between 1998 and 2008, the European cocaine market more than doubled to $34 billion, almost equal to the US market. It made Christie's organization a ton of money, but it was dirty money. So Christie opened legit companies, like car dealerships and tanning salons, to launder his money through, and other criminals' money, for a fee. Christie built a new kind of criminal organization where one part sold drugs while the other washed the money. By 2006, it was among the biggest in Europe, and Christie was worth over $500 million. He moved to Spain with his sons and put Daniel in charge of the drugs and Christopher Jr. in charge of the money laundering. This trio used violence carefully.
They understood that if you engage in street-level violence, you'll inevitably attract unwanted attention to yourself. So part of their modus operandi was actually just to sell drugs and keep away from everything else.
But they did order the murder of several Irish gang members. And when an Irish criminal was killed in Spain in 2008, the police started looking into the Kinahans. In 2010, police seized properties, froze bank accounts, and arrested all three Kinahans. They sent Christie to jail, but didn't have enough evidence to charge his sons. It was Daniel's turn to add another head to the Hydra. Instead of competing against other criminal groups, he convinced a few to collaborate. They began partnering up to buy drug loads, which allowed them to place larger orders at a lower cost per ton.
So they basically became the plugs for all of Europe, all right? You get the gist. So shout out to Search Party and Bellingcat for that amazing investigation on the topic, okay? It is insane. But what is truly crazy, okay, is that where things went after that, their legitimate business that arguably, maybe in, you know what I'm saying, I don't know how legit it was, but basically Christie's son Daniel Kinahan, he fled to Dubai after this crazy incident. He had basically had some kind of like boxing event that he was putting on, probably one of his legitimate business events that he was putting on, and basically gunmen from the rival Hutch Cartel had targeted him at this event at the Regency Hotel in Dublin, Ireland, and he basically had to flee the country and he went to Dubai. Meanwhile, many bodies were dropping in this Kinahan versus Hutch Cartel gang war from Ireland.
On February 5th, 2016, fighters and boxing fans gathered in the ballroom of Dublin's Regency Hotel for the weigh-in of a boxing event ominously billed as the Clash of Clans. Among the crowd were key figures in Irish organised crime, including Daniel Kinahan, the head of the Kinahan Cartel and an emerging force in international boxing promotion. As Kinahan moved between his fighters, his trusted lieutenants Liam Byrne, his brother David, and associates including Liam Rowe and Sean McGovern looked on, unaware of the violence about to unfold. Also in the hotel that afternoon was a 5-man hit team intent on assassinating senior members of the Kinahan organised crime group in retaliation for the murder of Gary Hutch. The attack would mark the opening chapter in a bloody feud between the Kinahan and Hutch crime groups, a war that would leave at least 18 men dead. Daniel Kinahan, the primary target, left the weigh-in room only moments before gunmen disguised as Garda ERU officers burst in with assault rifles. As chaos erupted, Kinahan was bundled out of the hotel and fled the country soon after. He returned briefly for the funeral of David Byrne, who was shot dead in the Regency lobby that afternoon. In the years that followed, the feud raged across Ireland and mainland Europe. As Gardaí cracked down on the Byrne organised crime group, homes, businesses and luxury assets linked to the network were seized.
So they basically were onto them, all right? And he managed to get out of the country and flee to Dubai. Now, after fleeing to Dubai, Daniel Kinahan basically became very involved in, professional boxing, and he helped establish an organization called MTK Global. And he basically used the sport of professional boxing to basically legitimize his business that was all pretty questionable up until that point.
That's because it's very easy for anyone, including criminals, to get involved in boxing.
It's unusual in the world of sport in that there's no overriding governing body. what people think of as a governing body, the alphabet soup of IBF and WBA and WBC, etc. Basically, they hand out belts. They don't really control the sport.
Instead, an informal network of people control boxing. It includes boxers and their trainers, plus managers who represent them and promoters who match them with opponents. They all need licenses, but anyone can call themselves an advisor, like Daniel Kinahan. In 2012, he co-founded a boxing gym and recruited a few fighters. It looked like a passion project. I'm told Daniel really had a talent for it.
There are plenty of people in boxing who still speak highly of Daniel Kinahan. He has a genuine love for the sport and for boxers.
But Daniel soon began spending millions of dollars to sign more than 300 boxers, plus trainers, managers, and a few MMA fighters. What Daniel named MTK Global soon became the biggest thing in boxing.
I was looking to expand constantly. They paid boxers well and on time, which is unusual within the sport. But from what we've been told, it had that financial clout because it was being used to launder a lot of drugs money.
MTK Global's best fighter was a 6'9" Englishman with a deadly right hook.
Honestly, Ray, how much more can he take? He's down, and it is over. Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury won the world heavyweight title in 2015, then got addicted to drugs and retired. In 2017, Fury...
The idea that Tyson Fury was signed to a cartel leader that had a third of Europe's cocaine market has got to be one of the most ironic things ever, and then he got hooked on blow.
Fury started training at MTK Global's gyms, wearing its merch, and letting Daniel manage his comeback. In 2020, Fury posted this video.
Hello there, I'm just after getting off the phone with Daniel Kinahan. He's just informed me that the biggest fight in British boxing history has just been agreed. Get up there, my boy!
It would come back to haunt the Kinahans, because it launched Daniel further into the spotlight. In 2020, he negotiated 2 fights for Fury against the reigning world champion. Fury reclaimed the world title, then defended it. Boxing promoter Top Rank reportedly paid Daniel millions of dollars, even though he was just an advisor. By 2021, Daniel was one of the most powerful people in boxing.
What's remarkable is that Daniel's criminal business didn't disqualify him, even after it spilled into boxing.
In 2014, a rival Irish gang shot a boxer near an MTK Global gym, mistaking him for Daniel. They tried again at a weigh-in event in Ireland. They missed Daniel but murdered his friend. The Kinahans retaliated with a wave of violence that left 18 people dead. This was a huge story while Daniel rose through the ranks of pro boxing.
So Daniel Kinahan basically gets to like the top of the boxing sphere, okay? But people are literally pulling up to the gym, shooting people, thinking that it's him. All right, insanity. So what ends up happening next that's very interesting, okay? In the 2022, the US sanctioned the Kinahans, like how they'd be sanctioning the Iranians and the Russians. They actually put sanctions on them, okay? This is like the most devastating thing you could do to anyone financially. Like real cartel shit. They dealing with him like El Chapo and Pablo Escobar. And they offered a $5 million reward for any of the top Kinahan cartel leaders. And they basically were tracking their movements. And it got to the point where they were actually looking at Google restaurant reviews to see where they'd been dining out to try and track them down.
But Daniel's rise in boxing did attract more police attention to the Kinahans. And around 2017, French police put malware on cell phones made by a company called EncroChat.
It let them read messages from many criminal groups, leading them to the Super Cartel and eventually the Kinahans.
European police have busted what they're calling a super cartel.
Arrest took place in the middle of the night.
Europol described some of those detained as high-value targets.
In 2019, police captured a Dutch member of the super cartel. Then in 2021, the Italian and Bosnian members. Then the Albanian. It spelled the end of the super cartel. The Kinahans remained free in Dubai, but not unscathed. In 2022, the US government announced $5 million bounties and sanctioned 3 Kinahan companies, dealing a major blow to the organization. MTK Global folded, and the Kinahans went into hiding. For the next few years, journalists wrote that the noose was tightening around the Kinahans. Many proclaimed their downfall.
And that's the story, that these new images turn completely upside down. And they reveal a lot more than you might think.
I don't think their organization is bigger than it was in 2022. I know it is.
What's amazing is that we probably wouldn't have these images unless Bellingcat hadn't first found Christy Kinahan's restaurant reviews.
There was reports that Christy Kinahan was using this alias Christopher Vincent online.
Connor Plunkett is a Bellingcat investigator.
So I started running some searches using that alias. I came across this Google review profile under the name Christopher Vincent, and it had over 200 reviews going back 4 years and loads of pictures.
These were genuine. Christie gave a Budapest hotel 4 stars for stunning decor and a particularly excellent staff member. He added a picture to another, showing his reflection in a window, an odd mistake for a seasoned criminal.
I think he just didn't see the harm in it, but it was just kind of shocking to see the amount of information he was putting out there.
That's because Christie's reviews revealed places he traveled. None outside the UAE were after 2022, but Bellingcat could still use them to identify people he may have worked with.
So Bellingcat are incredible, right? They're an amazing organization that do a lot of research, and I read a great book about Bellingcat and their open source intelligence. They did a lot to kind of identify really messed up stuff that the Russians did and stuff they tried to blame on Ukraine, all type of crazy warmongering things. And they're very good at this. But back to the Kinahans, okay? They were hiding out in Dubai. They were letting it slip. They were doing Google reviews for restaurants and hotels, which is just insane, okay? And from there, that is where, a month before his arrest in Dubai, it would be April 2026, that Daniel Kinahan was spotted at a boxing match in the UAE over in Dubai, and then they located him.
They made a bit of a mistake with you, didn't they? Connor Plunkett, how did you find them?
Yeah, well, how it started was we searched a photo of one of Daniel Kinahan's adult sons through facial recognition search engine, and it returned one result, which was a picture on a professional photography website of him with Daniel Kinahan at a mixed martial arts event in Dubai last summer. In the photo, Daniel's sitting next to the founder of the event, who's an ex-UFC fighter, Munir Aziz. So once we found the picture, the first thing we did was look for the actual footage of the MMA event, which was 6 hours long. And we basically went through it frame by frame to see if we could spot Kinahan there, maybe see who he's talking to, who he's interacting with. And it was during this process that we saw on the front row in the VIP seats, there was a man wearing a Panama hat who looked a lot like Daniel Kinahan's father, Christie. And we were able to confirm it was him after trawling through social media, finding as many images as we could of him. And then John Mooney also confirmed his ID with his sources.
And how long did it take you to go through that process, Connor?
It was about a month and a half in total. Yeah, so it was quite a long time. It was pretty painstaking, looking at thousands of pictures, going through all the pictures we could find of people posting on Instagram who were at the event.
So they basically tracked him down, right? It is absolutely insane. And he would ultimately be caught, arrested, and extradited back to Ireland. And that's where he would be charged with directing the activities of a criminal organization. So I'll read you this Guardian article that kind of breaks it all down and gives you all of the backstory. It says, from Dubai luxury to an Irish jail cell, okay, Daniel Kinahan's drastic lifestyle shift. Only spending outlet for a man accused of helping to control a third of Europe's cocaine supply will be a prison tuck shop. That is pretty crazy. I think that's him there grimacing in the back. It says it sounds like the penal equivalent of 5 stars, a private gym, a library, daily outings on the exercise yard, and a landing cleared of other prisoners. Daniel Kinahan's first full day inside the walls of Port Leo's, let me see if I can pronounce that correctly. It's Port Leisure Prison, okay, on Monday, Port Leisure Prison on Monday, it marked a drastic change from his luxury lifestyle in the UAE. The alleged leader of the Kinahan organized crime group is confined to a cell for about 20 hours a day, and instead of presiding over an empire said to be worth hundreds of millions of euros, his only outlet for expenditure is the tuck shop. They're basically celebrating that he's locked up. The facilities, it turns out, are a meager consolation, a treadmill and some free weights and limited reading material. The so-called gym and library are nothing much, one source told the Irish Times. The gym is probably slightly bigger than a box room in a house. There he is, the Port Leisure prison. All right, it is looking very historic. It looks like a castle, but it is a gilded castle. Right, it is a cage. It's a gilded cage, my bad. That is the reality facing Kinahan, 49, for months until his trial and possibly decades if convicted. The Dubliner has not been convicted of any crime and remains innocent before the law, but his extradition on Sunday represented a victory for the Irish state and law enforcement agencies across the world. Kinahan was named as the leader of a cartel controlling a third of Europe's cocaine supply, along with running criminal sidelines in firearms and racketeering. From his base in Dubai, he'd appeared impervious to such allegations for almost a decade, while becoming an influential figure in sport through his boxing management company MTK Global, which arranged championship bouts. That changed after the US offered a reward of $5 million for information that led to his arrest and conviction, and the Treasury Department said he was engaging in gang war with another group in Ireland and Spain, resulting in numerous murders. And it would be the US bounty that helped Ireland secure an extradition treaty with the UAE last year, and this paved the way for Kinahan to be arrested in Dubai in April on foot of an Irish warrant. After failing to block the extradition, this is what Andrew Tate's going through right now, Kinahan was flown in an Irish government jet to Casement Aerodrome on Sunday and taken to the criminal courts of justice in central Dublin, where he was charged with directing organised crime. So this is some footage of somebody outside the court and explaining what went down in the hearing. This is the type of thing I'd be doing outside David's court date, but I ain't trying to go to Ireland for nobody, right? But this is what's going on.
Kinahan appeared in court in a hearing that lasted for about 13 minutes. He sat on a wooden bench for most of that time. He was wearing a black hooded top. He occasionally sipped from a bottle of water. He rose to his feet on several occasions whenever one of the three judges, Patrick McGrath, addressed him directly. He also stood with his hands clasped in front of him when a court official put the charge to him. So he faces one charge, and that is of directing the activities of a criminal organisation between October 2015 and April 2017. Towards the end of the hearing, a prosecutor suggested to the judges that they should explain to Daniel Kinahan that he could only apply for bail at the High Court in Dublin. So the judge did that, and Daniel Kinahan replied, "I think we know I won't get bail," but he went on to thank the judge. So he's been remanded in custody until the 5th of October. Until then, he's being taken to Portlaoise Prison, not far outside Dublin. It's a maximum security prison, and the facilities there, it's understood, have been upgraded.
So they've literally upgraded the facilities just for him. So he did actually put out quite an interesting interview with a very well-known YouTuber, James English. And in this, he basically touched on, just for a few minutes, some of what's kind of going on in his side of the story. And then he actually gave an update just as he was getting extradited, which is honestly just crazy he's even able to make these calls. But listen to this.
So many things that's happened, and there's so much dirty things that I think it's time it has to start to come out now. Regarding the Regency, it took over 20 minutes for them to respond. There was no police there. They're talking about I'm a big mafia boss on this cartel, imaginary cartel that they created. And there's no police at the Regency when there's a publicised boxing event on there. There's 4 different reporters there ready to take pictures. Police didn't respond 2 minutes away, and the police didn't respond for over 20 minutes. Like I said, people need to connect the dots now and start looking into this, because once they unravel what's happening there, it's going to unravel, and it's going to be a snowball effect for all other corruption that's been going on over the last 2, 3, 4 decades. And I don't like to be speaking about someone. The guy's family probably don't want to be listening to things about being brought back up about the man. But I think it's relevant in the situation that's happening now, and it's all connected to a lot of different things, you know? Mm-hmm. And I seen him actually pulling the gun from the back of his waist and just pulling his hand up, and then I just ran through the door.
You must have came across a lot of interesting characters. Like, who is the most interesting you've ever came across?
I'd say one of the most interesting people I've spoke to just for a short time and was Guy Ritchie, without a doubt. I believe I haven't been an angel in my life, and I don't think anyone's been an angel. And the person who points the finger has 3 fingers pointing back at themselves, you know. So I don't want to play like I'm a martyr, because people is like, he's innocent, he's a conspiracy theorist. But yeah, I believe that in a way I'm a scapegoat. And anybody that looks into this so-called feud that they say that they've created, then you'll see things yourself if someone has the time to look into it, you know.
How can the media get away? How can they get away with printing your name every other week in the Irish press?
Well, that's a question that I'd like to know. So I think I would have done a lot of good for boxing, because I wasn't in boxing to launder money, as they say. I never did that whatsoever. And I think I would have given a lot back to boxing and helped a lot of people, you know.
And you've been fast-tracked now in the Dubai courts. Do you think there's something more sinister behind that? Because that's not obviously the way it works there. It could potentially take months, but with you, it only took a few days. Why do you think that is?
I think there's a deal being done, you know.
Do you actually think you'll get a fair trial, or do you think they've already sort of made up their mind?
I think I've already got life in prison, James. I think that it's just we're going to go through the dance now, and the circus, and then the character assassination even more now of me and my family, you know. And that's what they'll do, you know, because they have to reinforce their narrative and what they've said and done over the last 10 years or even more. So I don't think I'll get a fair trial whatsoever. I don't think I'll have a hope of getting a fair trial. What they know about me, James, is only what they've been fed. It's been created of who I am by the media. And now I have no another option than to speak out and put my side forward of everything, you know. And hopefully then I get a fair trial, which I don't think I will. But maybe I'll get a fair trial, and if everything is open, and let the public see all evidence and everything. And if all the evidence is there that they say is against me, then I should go to prison.
So he gave an update. I don't know how he's making these interviews and these updates, but he basically confirmed that he was on his way back to Ireland in this follow-up.
It's the 6th of August now. It's about 10 to 7 local time here, which is 10 to 4 Irish time. I reckon that I'm getting taken. I'm going to get taken today, this evening, tonight, I'd say, late tonight, tomorrow. I reckon the plane's here already. I reckon the security is going to be crazy. And I'm sitting here reflecting a little tiny little phone box, shithole box. Then I'm thinking, what happened? How I got here, all the stuff that's happened in my life, the whole lot just reflecting, James. And when you look at things, you know, everything's in God's hands and everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, you know. And I'm just sitting reflecting. And this place I'm after being in is absolute, really bad shithole. So I'm looking forward to getting home. Like I said earlier to you before, it's like bittersweet. So I reckon I'll be home. I think I'm going to be home in the next, maybe you can get this out when I'm on the way in here. I reckon I'll be home in the next 48 hours or so. Or definitely by Monday. And it's crazy when you think of the life of where I come from, where I'm born, everything that I've been through, and then going back to Ireland now 25 years later. And I'm still the same as I was, still the same friends from when I grew up with, still the same people that I know. And it's going to be nice to get back to understand that and get back to, you know, I was always proud to be Irish and I wanted to, you know, do good things and big things. Obviously life didn't go that way for me. All the stuff and all the media and what people think of me, you know, and the perception they have of me. But I'm still so proud to be from Ireland, so proud to be from all of our flats and bred there. And the mentality, the humour, the food. So I guess I'm going to have a lot of that when I come back in anyway. So I'm looking forward to getting back home. Sorry it's a bit noisy now because it's a bit crazy here. And hopefully to give you a chance to come over and do a proper interview when I'm down in Port East, James. You'd be most welcome, okay? Take it easy, brother, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
So James English will be doing a full interview at some point in person. I don't know how they're going to pull that one off, but I will be very, very curious to keep up with this case, keep up with any interviews that Daniel Kinahan has to say. This is one of Europe's biggest alleged crime figures, and it's crazy the way that he went out. Let this be a lesson to all you gangsters, shooters, killers, mob bosses. Dubai ain't going to keep you safe from extradition. America ain't going to keep you safe from extradition. There's like 3-4 countries that you can really rely on. I'm hearing Algeria might be the move if you've done a crime in the West and you want to get away with it. You might have to go North Korea at this point, okay? I'm hearing Thailand will send you back. I'm hearing Vietnam will send you back. All right, some of the most, I don't want to say worst countries, but like some of the weakest countries by GDP are the only places you guys are safe. So if I can just influence just one person to not do crime, it's not the way. All right, crime is not the way. Crime doesn't pay in the long run. Daniel Kinahan is unfortunately not going to be able to access any of the money that he had, the billions and billions and all this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, he is going to be in a box. Not a pine box, but he's going to be in a concrete box in a prison cell for a very long period of time by the sounds of things. And it sounds like they have a lot of evidence. So I'll keep track of the case as it progresses. I'll let you guys know if I hear anything new on that. But for now, that is everything that I've heard. I'm out for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.